Imagine waking up one day and realizing that you've been living in a prison so sophisticated, so perfectly designed, that you didn't even know you were trapped. That every time you reached for your phone, it wasn't choice. It was addiction. Think about that. What if the screens you stare at for hours each day aren't just stealing your time? They're rewiring your brain, hijacking your dopamine system, and turning you into someone who can no longer control what they pay attention to. In this video, we're going to expose what neuroscientist Anna Lembke calls the dopamine prison, the neurobiological trap that social media platforms have perfected to capture and monetize your attention. We're going to reveal how these systems exploit the same brain circuits that drug addiction targets, why you can't stop scrolling even when you want to, and why your willpower has been systematically eroded by design. But before we descend into the prison of digital addiction, take a moment to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, and share your honest thoughts in the comments below. What you're about to encounter will challenge everything you believe about your relationship with technology. Share this with those who sense they've lost control, who suspect their attention is no longer their own. Let's begin with what most people don't understand. Your brain isn't designed for the modern world. No, it's designed for a world that no longer exists. Dopamine is often misunderstood as the pleasure chemical, but it's not. It's the anticipation chemical. It's what drives you to seek rewards, food, sex, social connection, anything that enhances survival. When your ancestors saw potential food, dopamine surged, motivating them to pursue it. This system, it kept them alive. But here's what makes dopamine so vulnerable to exploitation. It responds not to rewards themselves, but to unpredictable rewards. When you don't know whether pulling a lever will deliver a reward, dopamine spikes higher than when the reward is guaranteed. This is why slot machines are so addictive. It's not the winning that hooks you. It's the uncertainty of whether you'll win. The neuroscientist Robert Sapolsky documented this extensively. He showed that the dopamine system is most powerfully activated by variable reward schedules, rewards that come unpredictably, intermittently, keeping you in a state of perpetual anticipation. And this is exactly how social media is designed. Every time you open Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, you're pulling a lever. You don't know what you'll find. Maybe something interesting, maybe something boring, maybe something that triggers outrage, laughter, envy, validation. The uncertainty is what keeps you pulling. Tristan Harris, former Google design ethicist, explained this explicitly. Every time you pull to refresh, it's like a slot machine. You're playing a game, and the game is, will there be something for me this time? But it's worse than a slot machine, because slot machines eventually run out of money. Social media feeds never run out. There's always more content, always another notification, always another potential reward, just one more scroll away. And your brain evolved for scarcity, evolved to obsessively seek rewards in an environment where they were rare. It just cannot resist this. You're not weak-willed, you're human, and your humanity has been weaponized against you. Stay with me, because what comes next reveals exactly how your will has been hijacked, the precise mechanisms that keep you trapped. Mechanism 1. Intermittent variable rewards. You don't get likes every time you post. You don't get interesting content every time you scroll. You get it sometimes, right? Unpredictably. And this unpredictability is what makes it, well, irresistible. Your brain is constantly trying to predict, will this time deliver the reward? And every time it doesn't, the anticipation just builds. Every time it does, the behavior is reinforced. You're being operantly conditioned, exactly like a pigeon in a Skinner box. Mechanism 2. Social validation feedback loops. Humans are social animals. Your survival, historically, depended on your status in the group. So, your brain is exquisitely sensitive to social feedback. Things like rejection, belonging, exclusion. And social media has really quantified this, hasn't it? Likes, comments, shares, followers. Every single notification is a hit of social validation, or, the anxiety of its absence. You post something, and then you compulsively check, did people like it? Did they validate me? Am I accepted? The uncertainty drives compulsive checking. The validation delivers dopamine. And the cycle, it just repeats. Mechanism 3. Infinite scroll and endless novelty. Your brain is wired to pay attention to novelty. New information might be important. It might be dangerous. Or it might be an opportunity. So you're biologically programmed to notice the new. And social media feeds are infinite. There's always something new. Always. Another video, another post, another story. Your brain never gets the signal to stop. Because there's never an end point. Traditional media had end points. The newspaper ended, the TV show ended. But your feed, it never ends. And so neither does your attention. But this isn't just about wasted time. The cost, it's far deeper than that. The psychiatrist Anna Lembke, in her book Dopamine Nation, documents what happens when you repeatedly stimulate the dopamine system. You dysregulate it. Your baseline drops. You need more stimulation just to feel normal, and in the absence of stimulation, well, you feel worse than you did before. This is the mechanism of addiction, not just to substances, but to behaviors too. And social media addiction, it actually follows the exact same neurological pathways as drug addiction. The same brain regions, the same neurotransmitter systems, the same progression from pleasure to compulsion to dependence. And here's what that means practically. Every time you compulsively check your phone, you're lowering your baseline dopamine. You're making it harder to find satisfaction in normal activities like reading a book, having a conversation, or just sitting with your own thoughts. These things, they just don't deliver the rapid dopamine hits your brain has been trained to expect. So they feel boring, intolerable, pointless. But the cost goes deeper still. Because what you're losing isn't just time or even baseline satisfaction. You're losing your attention, the most valuable resource you have. The psychologist William James wrote, "My experience is what I agree to attend to." In other words, your attention determines your experience. Your experience determines your life. And if you can't control your attention, you can't control your life. And that's exactly what's been taken from you. Your attention no longer belongs to you. It's been fractured, fragmented, sold to the highest bidder. You can't read for more than a few minutes without checking your phone. You can't have a conversation without your mind wandering to what you're missing online. You can't sit with boredom, with silence, with yourself, because your brain has been trained that every moment of non-stimulation is intolerable. The neuroscientist Adam Gazzaley studied this phenomenon. He found that chronic multitasking and digital distraction don't just make you less focused in the moment, they structurally change your brain. They weaken the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for impulse control, for sustained attention, for willpower, and they strengthen the circuits for distraction, for impulsivity, for seeking novelty. In other words, every hour you spend on social media makes you less capable of resisting social media in the future. The trap tightens with every use. Now let's talk about what this does to your will, because most people still believe they're choosing to use social media, saying things like, "I can stop any time. I'm just taking a quick break. I'm staying connected." But here's what addiction researchers understand. The hallmark of addiction is the illusion of choice while being compelled to act. You reach for your phone dozens of times a day. How many of those times were conscious decisions? How many times did you actually think to yourself, "I'm going to check my phone now because I've decided this is the best use of my attention"? Almost never. It's automatic, unconscious, compulsive. The psychologist Wendy Wood, who studies habit formation, found that about 43% of daily behaviors are habitual, performed automatically without conscious thought. But with social media use, that percentage is much higher. You're not choosing, you're responding to triggers like boredom, anxiety, transition moments, notifications, and once triggered, the behavior unfolds automatically. This is what philosopher Harry Frankfurt called being a wanton, someone whose actions are driven by impulses they haven't consciously endorsed. You want to check your phone, but you don't want to want it. The desire itself is unwanted. but it controls you anyway. And this is the death of will, acting against your own values, your own deeper desires, your own understanding of what's good for you, because a system has been designed to override all of that. But the cost extends beyond the individual, because what happens when an entire society loses its capacity for sustained attention? You get what philosopher Byung-Chul Han calls the burnout society, a world where everyone is exhausted, not from labor, but from their own compulsive stimulation, where people are simultaneously overstimulated and understimulated, bombarded with information, but starved for meaning, connected to thousands, but intimate with none. You get what Shoshana Zuboff calls surveillance capitalism, an economic system that profits from predicting and modifying human behavior. Your attention is the raw material, your behavior is the product, and you're not the customer, you're the resource being extracted. You get what Nicholas Carr documented in The Shallows, a fundamental shift in human cognition. We're losing the capacity for deep reading, sustained contemplation, and the kind of thinking that requires hours of uninterrupted focus. We're becoming, in his words, pancake people, spread thin, connected to everything, deep about nothing. And the tragedy is, most people don't even notice, because you can't notice what you've lost if you can't remember what it was like to have it. If you've never experienced sustained attention, you don't know what you're missing. If you've never known what it's like to be bored and then have creativity emerge from that boredom, you can't value it. The prison is invisible because it's all you've ever known. So, how do you escape? Because awareness alone isn't enough. You can know all of this intellectually and still be trapped. Knowledge of the mechanism doesn't automatically free you from it. The first step is what Anna Lembke calls the dopamine fast, a period of abstinence that allows your dopamine system to reset. This is uncomfortable. Your brain will protest. You'll feel bored, anxious, irritable. That's withdrawal. That's your dysregulated dopamine system recalibrating to normal levels of stimulation. But here's what happens if you push through. After about 2 to 4 weeks, your baseline starts to rise. Normal activities start to feel satisfying again. Reading becomes engaging. Conversations become interesting. Silence becomes tolerable. You're not getting less dopamine. You're getting it from natural sources again. And it's enough. The second step is environmental design. You can't rely on willpower alone. Willpower is a limited resource, and it's being attacked constantly. You need to change your environment to make those dopamine triggers harder to access. Delete social media apps from your phone. Keep them only on your computer, where access requires more friction. Turn off all notifications. Put your phone in another room when you work. Use app blockers during certain hours. Make the behavior you want easy, and the behavior you don't want hard. Because behavior follows the path of least resistance. The third step, it's attention training. You need to actively rebuild those cognitive muscles that have, well, atrophied. This means practicing sustained focus, like reading physical books for extended periods, meditating, or engaging in activities that truly require deep concentration without interruption. Now, neuroscientist Amishi Jha found that mindfulness training, even just 12 minutes a day, can actually strengthen your prefrontal cortex and really improve attentional control. But it requires consistent practice. You're literally rewiring your brain, building new neural pathways, strengthening circuits that have, well, perhaps weakened. All right, so the fourth step is all about replacing the reward. You can't just subtract social media and then leave a void. Instead, you need to replace it with activities that deliver dopamine through natural means. Things like physical exercise, creative projects, real social connection, learning, or building something meaningful. Your brain, it needs rewards, it needs dopamine, but it should definitely come from sources that enhance your life, rather than hijacking it, right? And finally, the fifth step, community and accountability. Breaking addiction, and let's be clear, this is an addiction, is nearly impossible to do alone. You're going to need people who understand what you're trying to do, who will support you, and who will hold you accountable when your resolve, well, when it weakens. Because it will weaken. The pull, It's going to be strong, and you'll absolutely need external support to resist it. But here's what most people don't want to face. Even if you successfully break free from social media addiction, you're confronted with a more fundamental question. What do you actually want to pay attention to? Because social media isn't just a distraction. No, it's a solution to an underlying problem, usually boredom, loneliness, anxiety, or a lack of purpose. And when you remove that distraction, well, you're face to face with whatever you were distracting yourself from. And this is where the real work begins. It's not just breaking the dopamine loop, but building a life worth being present for. It's not just reclaiming your attention, but deciding what deserves it. And it's not just resisting compulsion, but cultivating intention. The philosopher Simone Weil wrote, "Attention is the rarest and purest form of generosity, but you can't be generous with attention you don't possess, right? You can't give what's been taken from you. So the first step, it's reclamation. But the ultimate step, it's deciding. What will I do with this attention once I have it back? If this message has disturbed you, if you're recognizing how much of your will has been outsourced to algorithms, if you're feeling the weight of how many hours you've lost to compulsive scrolling, good. Don't suppress it. Don't immediately reach for your phone to distract from this discomfort. Sit with it. Subscribe to this channel if you want to continue this work of reclaiming your attention and your will. Leave a comment with your honest answer. How many times did you check your phone today? And how many of those times were conscious choices versus automatic responses? Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Not everyone's ready. Most people will defend their social media use as vigorously as any addict defends their substance. Let them. They're not ready to see the cage yet. But here's what happens once you break free from the dopamine prison. You're confronted with yourself without the constant distraction, without the endless stimulation. You're left with your own mind, your own thoughts, your own reality. And for many people, that's more terrifying than the addiction itself. Because what if there's nothing there? What if you've been running from emptiness? Carl Jung spent his life exploring exactly this. Why we're more afraid of facing ourselves than of any external prison. I have a full video on that linked below. So as we end this journey, remember, the dopamine prison is real. The hijacking of your will is not metaphor, it's neuroscience. Every notification, every infinite scroll, every variable reward, they've all been engineered by people who understand your brain better than you do, designed to keep you captive, profitable, and well, convinced you're free. The question before you isn't whether the prison exists. The real question is, now that you see the bars, will you walk out? Or will you do what most people do? Acknowledge the cage, feel momentarily disturbed, and then reach for your phone to distract yourself from that disturbance. Breaking free, though, requires more than just willpower. It requires understanding the architecture of your captivity. It requires environmental design. It requires attention training. It requires replacing the counterfeit rewards with real ones. It requires community, and it requires sustained effort over weeks and months. Most people won't do this. The addiction is too comfortable. The withdrawal is too uncomfortable. The life on the other side, a life of sustained attention, of presence, of having to face yourself without constant distraction. It's just too uncertain. But not you. You're still here, which means something in you refuses to accept captivity as normal. Something in you remembers what it was like to have your attention be your own. Or maybe you've never had it, but you can sense that something has been stolen. The door is unlocked. It always has been. The prison is real, but you're the one who keeps walking back in. Every time you reach for your phone without thinking, every time you choose the dopamine hit over the deeper satisfaction, every time you trade presence for distraction, stop walking back in. Your will is still there. Weakened, perhaps. Hijacked, certainly. But not destroyed. Not yet. Reclaim it. One day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one moment of choosing attention over compulsion at a time. Let the others remain captive. Let them defend their chains as freedom. Let them scroll their lives away while calling it connection. But not you. You see it now. And once you see the prison, You can never unsee it. The only question is, will you leave?